Good morning, Unity. So great to see you guys. Yay. How many of you are expecting great things, right? I know I am. All right. I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting great things. Expecting great things, great things. Sing it with me. I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting great things. Oh, great things. Choose to believe in great things. I'm expecting great things every day. I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting great things. Oh yeah, great things. You expecting great things? Each and every day of my life, expecting great things. Oh yeah, expecting great things. I believe it, yes, great things in my life. You do great things. You do great things in my heart.
We expect great things. How many of you know that this is the day that the Lord has made? Yeah. Put your hands together with it. This is the day. This is a day.
This is the day.
This is the day.
That the Lord has
The Lord has made.
That the Lord has
The Lord has made.
I will rejoice.
I will rejoice.
I will rejoice.
I will rejoice.
And be glad in it. And be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has
I will rejoice.
I will rejoice and be glad in it.
This is the day.
This is the day.
This is the day.
This is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day.
This is the day.
This is the day
that
the Lord has
the Lord has made.
That the Lord
That the Lord has made.
I will rejoice.
I will rejoice.
I will
I will
rejoice.
rejoice.
Be glad in
Be glad in
it.
it.
Be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has
I will rejoice.
I will rejoice and be glad in it.
This is the day.
This is the day.
This is the day.
This is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day.
This is the day.
This is the day that the Lord has
The Lord has made. That the Lord has made. I will rejoice. I'm gonna rejoice. And gonna be glad in it.
This is the day that the Lord has
I will rejoice.
rejoice and be glad in it.
This is the day.
This is the day.
This is the day.
This is the day that the Lord has made.
Oh,
This is the day that the Lord has
I will rejoice.
rejoice and be glad in it.
This is the day.
This is the day.
This is the day.
This is the day that the Lord has made. That the Lord has made.
Say it again.
The Lord has made.
That the
Lord has made.
Amen.
You know, this lobby just isn't the same without you. But for the next 6 weeks of our Touchstone series, we're bringing a virtual lobby to you. Right after the 11 o'clock service, you can go to unityhouston.org and click on a link that will take you right into a virtual lobby where all of us will be waiting. This is an opportunity for you to be able to connect again with friends. Let us know how you're doing. Tell us what inspired you during the message. And meet new people. This is a great opportunity for anyone who's new, who wants to know a little more about what we're about, what our community is like. We wanted to bring this opportunity to you. So again, go to unityhouston.org, click on the link. There's no need to register. Come be a part of the fellowship.
There are many names for God. What's your favorite? Mother, Father, Lord, Buddha, Spirit, the Christ within. Whatever name you use, it is a holy name. And we will be exploring the holiness of the names for God this Wednesday night at Wednesday Night Satsang as we explore the Aramaic understanding of the phrase, hallowed be thy name. Join us 7 p.m. Wednesday night online. See you there.
Our next pet blessing is October 4th, and we'll be holding our ceremony on Zoom. That's right. From the comfort of your own home, Reverend Jean Marie Eck will bless your beloved dog, cat, Booplesnoot, Danger Noodle, Furry Potato, Party Pigeon, Spiky Floof, Leafy Slug, Magical Unicorn, Disco Chicken, Shell Puppy, Land Cloud, Sand Moose, and the list goes on. This will be a special ceremony that you'll remember for years to come. Register on our website by October 3rd, and we will see you and your pets on Zoom.
Information about all of our events can be found online at unityhouston.org or when you download the Unity of Houston app. Watch services and listen to podcasts online, and be sure to follow us on social media.
Welcome everyone to Unity of Houston Sunday service. Oh my gosh. Oh, so it is our first Sunday to welcome a small group of us back into the sanctuary, and boy, does it feel good. And just to be able to see everyone's faces, even with our masks on, I can feel the love and see the light in your eyes. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so delighted to have everyone, including all of our online people who are tuning in right now. We're also on YouTube now. We're on our website. We're on the app. We're on Facebook. Everywhere. We just want to make it so easy for people to connect to this wonderful community. We're starting our new Touchstone series, which is the way that we're going to teach ourselves how to work with the laws of creative mind so that we can begin to create the life that our soul desires. Thank you so much for being with us. If you are new to Unity of Houston, either here in the room or online, we invite you to fill out the virtual connection card, and you can find it right on the unityhouston.org, or also right there on the what we call it, the comments sections on Facebook. It'll be pinned at the top. Just a quick link. Let us know who you are, how you found out about us, and whether or not you would like to be on our mail list. That's really it. And the other thing is that virtual lobby. Is Jen Dickey great or what? She is our digital media specialist, and she's also a ministerial student in our movement. She's doing such great work, and I don't know, I didn't even know we had disco chickens, but we will bless them next week. But that virtual lobby, that's particularly for new people. If you would like to just, there'll be a minister there who can answer questions for you, so we hope that you will join us for that right after the service. That will be on Zoom. So wherever you are on your spiritual path, you are most welcome at Unity. And one of the things that we always do in our Sunday service is spiritual practice. We sit together in the stillness to connect to the presence within. And it's going to be so good to have the 100 or so of us who are here today to meditate together. So I just invite you now to adjust the way you're seated so that you can feel supported. And we're going to move into a time of meditation and just allow this music to open your heart to become fully present. Help me to believe I am whole. Help me to believe all is well. Help me to believe I am more than I can see. Help me to believe I am whole. Help me to believe all is well. Help me to believe I am more than I can see. You are my life. You are my strength. You are the light that shines in all. Help me to see. Help me to be the me that I know you know I can be. Help me to believe. Help me to believe. Help me to believe I am more than I can see. We breathe, bringing all of our conscious awareness to that breath. We are here now. We are home. We have arrived. So we release all of the intruding thoughts of past and future, and we are present here together in this moment. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect and whole. life is my life right now. And so for our time of meditation, as we sit together today in this holy now, let us expand our awareness of the wholeness and the perfection of life, of spirit, of our own being. Even the difficulties and the trials that we have gone through all become part of our healing and our journey. And why would we ever imagine that those we currently face are not the same? Everything that is a struggle in this moment is a doorway for us to remember our wholeness, to discover anew the power of God, to heal, to transform, to grow us into more of who we are created to be. Each of us made in the image and the likeness of perfect love. And whatever we need to move through this time, this trial, this problem, this opportunity for growth is already inside of us. There is only one power. That power is God's power, and that power is perfect. That power is my power now. There is only one love. That love is God's love. That love is perfect. That love is my love right now. There is only one peace. That peace is God's peace. And that peace is perfect. And that peace is my peace. So we breathe a little deeper, dropping down more fully into this realization that all that we will ever need to live the abundant life, to live as free and whole beings, it's already given to us. It's who we are. And so we just take this moment to remember and to renew this awareness right here and right now. I am enough. Right here and right now, all that I need for a life of complete freedom and fulfillment in body, in mind, in heart, in finances, in work, in relationship. It's already within me. I open my heart and mind for a greater realization of the indwelling presence of good. And let us sit together in this sacred stillness for a few breaths. All is well.
So we bring our attention from an inner awareness to our outer awareness as we begin to take in our surroundings and bring the awareness that we remembered in our time of meditation, of love, of peace, of wholeness. We bring that into our lives, our circumstances, as we affirm the truth together. Each week of our Touchstone series, we're going to be sharing an affirmation that corresponds to the teaching of that week. Our affirmation this week is, I am part of the magnificence and wonder of the universe. Let's affirm that together. I am part of the magnificence and wonder of the universe. Breathe that in. Allow that to resonate in your being. I am part of the magnificence and wonder of the universe. And so is everyone else. So is everyone else in our spiritual community and in our world. And so we move into our spiritual practice of giving as we give of our tithes and offerings now in this part of the service. We give from an awareness that we are part of a whole of creation, and that as we give, our blessing goes forward to bless those within our community, bless those in our family, our friends, and to bless those beyond our community, those who find the message of Unity of Houston on a Google search or looking for a keyword on YouTube, that our blessings go far beyond what we can even imagine in this digital world and in this space, this beautiful campus. It's so wonderful to have you all here with us, and wonderful that we're all connecting virtually as well in the same time and space we realize Spirit. And so whether you're giving on our website or text to give, whatever ways you're giving, let us hold this offering in our hearts as we bless it together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive, and so it is. And now Siobhan will be introducing to a new song written by our own Gary Norian for our Touchstone series. It's called World Inside of Me.
There's a song in me that I've got to sing. There's a story to be written, and it's my story. I'm on the way to becoming all I am meant to be. There's a world inside of me. I'm so grateful for the truth I've discovered. I'm in God and God's in me. Just one source everything. Yeah. I speak my dreams to the world to create a new reality. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The song in me, okay, I got to sing. There's a story to be written. It's my history. I'm on the way to becoming all I am meant to be. It's a world inside of me. It's a world inside of me. Yeah, it's a world inside of me.
Wow, what a great song. Thank you, Gary, for creating that for our Touchstone series. Thank you, Siobhan, for delivering it. Thank you, band. There's a world inside of me. So we're launching a 6-week series on the path of conscious creation. And what we teach in Unity is that there is only one reality, one life, one presence, one perfect, good. And it is already inside of us. We don't have to ask a distant God to give us something what we don't have. What we do instead is we focus our conscious mind as a portal of that good pouring in, through, and as our lives. You have a say. I love that I speak my word through my heart from the source of all good. Gary was asking for some feeder lines that I could, to what I was hoping to hear in this song, and that's part of it. It's that we open our heart and mind to let this good of God flow through us. It's really amazing. I love this image, don't you? Somebody was asking, Della was asking if this is somebody in our community, and I said, well, it's a stock photo, but David said, well, she's in our community now, so she definitely is. And I like that inside the image of her beautiful being, there is this mountain, there is this sunrise, there's this forest, there's all of this possibility. And we forget. We get fooled into thinking that the world of condition is it, that we're limited by what's happening to us in this world. And this series for 6 weeks is designed to remind you that you're more than you've known yourself to be so far. That there is a world inside of you, a sense of the possible and the freedom that you've never even experienced. It's going to be good. So, Tom and Marty had been married for a long time. They were a very happy couple. Just wonderful people. But they were getting a little older, and they noticed that they were starting to forget things, and they just wanted to go to a doctor and just check it out and make sure that there was nothing medically wrong. So they went to see their family doctor they'd had for years, and he did the test, and he said, no, Eric, everything's fine. What you're experiencing is normal short-term memory loss that happens for all people as we get older. Nothing to worry about. But what I would suggest is maybe to start writing things down more. Simple enough. They were relieved. They go home that night. They're sitting in front of the TV watching a movie, and Tom gets up and he's like, I'm going into the kitchen. Do you want anything? And she says, yeah, I would love a bowl of ice cream. And he starts moving out to the kitchen. She said, Tom, don't you want to write that down? He said, Marty, please, a bowl of ice cream. I can remember that. And she said, well, I'd also like to have some chocolate syrup, some crushed nuts, and some whipped cream, and maybe a cherry on top. Don't you want to write that down? And he said, I got it. So he goes into the kitchen. She continues watching the movie, and then she notices he's gone for a while, and she's hearing a little bit more clacking and cluttering around in the kitchen than she would expect. And about 45 minutes later, he comes back into the living room, and he sits down in front of her a plate of bacon and eggs and hash browns. And she looks at him, and she says, don't you think you should have written it down? Where's my toast? Thank you for that. So I want to speak for a moment about the difference between mind and brain, because we're going to be exploring a lot about mind, all of this series. And when I'm talking about mind, I'm not talking about the physical structure. You might think of the human brain, the physical brain, as being the instrument of mind. as your eyes are the instrument of sight. But your capacity for sight is not in the eyes. Your capacity to know the truth is not in the brain. It's just the way it moves forward it's our way of connecting with infinite mind. But it is that power of mind, the power of consciousness. In many studies of consciousness, it has been taught in all different realms that we are creative beings, and that by thinking a new and focused, conscious, creative thought, we can demonstrate a new reality in the world of condition. This is why we call our teaching, our movement, New Thought, that we are creative, that we get to play in the sandbox of eternal possibility to create the life we want right here and right now. And so there are two things we're going to be using to explore this. One is the Lord's Prayer, as Jesus taught his disciples. And I love what Wednesday Satsang is doing. They're going into the original Aramaic. I'm doing the same. There's a book that we're going to be using, but you don't need to purchase it. But if you do, go through Amazon, link it to Unity of Houston. We'll get a little kickback for everything you buy there. Really easy, but it's called The Prayers of the Cosmos by Neil Douglas Klotz. And what he has done is taken the original language, which was not written. It was a spoken language, and he has taken the Greek that it was originally written down in a few years or decades after Jesus' earthly ministry ended, and then he was like, what would the Aramaic speakers have said that was then translated into Greek? So it feels like we're doing a lot of steps, from our modern English back to Greek, back to a language that wasn't even written, that Jesus probably told his disciples. How do we even know this is real? How do we even know this is true? Because we feel it. We tap into the energy of it. And this original Aramaic, it has some really beautiful things I want to share with you. And forgive my pronunciation. The way we know the first line of the Lord's Prayer is, Our Father, who art in heaven. We believe that Jesus might have said something like this. Abun dvoash maya. Hallowed be thy name. Net kadash shmach. And what Neil Douglas Klotz has translated those beautiful syllables to mean is this. O birther, father, mother of the cosmos, you create all that moves in light. Focus your light within us. Make it useful as the rays of a beacon show the way. The first thing we want to do on this journey of conscious creation is to turn to the good of God. Albert Einstein has a famous quote. He said, the most important question you can ever ask is the world a friendly place? Years later, he was asked about this, and he went on to say this. For if we decide that the universe is an unfriendly place, then we will use our technology, our scientific discoveries, and our natural resources to achieve safety and power by creating bigger walls to keep out the unfriendliness. If we decide that the universe is neither friendly or unfriendly, that God is essentially playing dice, then we are simply victims to the random toss. But if we believe that the universe is a friendly place, then we will use our technology, our scientific discoveries, and our natural resources to create tools and models for understanding that universe. Because power and safety will come through understanding its workings and its motives. And so, Jesus of Nazareth, 2,000 years ago, spoke about turning to this great good, Father, Mother Presence, infinite creator and light. A physicist in the 20th century said it's so important that we recognize the benevolence of the universe. There's something here for us. The other tool that I'm going to be exploring in this process is a 5-step method of affirmative prayer, sometimes called spiritual mind treatment, created by Ernest Holmes. It is a tool for focusing the conscious mind into creation. So I really hope that you will enjoy this. I know many of you are in spirit groups where we're going to be doing a little bit deeper dive in this process of how we get on this path of conscious creation. It's good stuff. We want to begin with just this idea. Is the universe friendly? Is there a spiritual benevolence built into everything that is? And in a time of great upheaval and trial in the world of condition, can we still believe that? Can we still teach that? Can we still practice that? I was talking to Jean Marie before the service, and I really debated about, is this the right time to teach this manifestation technology in a time when our world seems so troubled and disrupted? But as I was sharing with her, as I do this prayer work and have done it for many years with prayer partners and in my morning devotion, what I have found is that this tool to focus my conscious mind has become more important than ever. That as things are uncertain in the world of condition, that I'm invited into a greater knowing of the good of God as it's coming through me, and I get to choose. There have been times that I have prayed for more money, yes, indeed. When I have needed money, I prayed for it and manifested it. There have been times I prayed for manifested health, and it came. There have been times I prayed for a relationship, Exhibit A. Hi, John. I have used this tool in many ways to get what they sometimes call the 3 Ps, the princes, the palaces, and the parking places. It works. But what I have noticed that as we are moving through this collective time of such uncertainty and unease, what I am focusing my spiritual mind treatment work on is that I am guided into the best possible leadership possible for this community as we are raising people up into the possibility of creative change in community. We transform and heal our lives, nurturing and empowering each other, that we may serve the world. I got that in a little out of order, but you know what I mean. We nurture and empower each other, transforming our lives, that we may serve the world. We need this teaching now more than ever. The first step of spiritual mind treatment we call recognition. Recognizing one power, one presence, not two. This is the most important thing for us to understand, that our name is who we are, unity. It's not unity and then something else. Everything is one. Everything is connected. There is only one life, one power, one presence. And our mind will tell us otherwise if we base our experience only from the senses and the information we get there, because we can see that I'm not John, I'm not Jean Marie, I'm not Joey. It's so good to have people in this room. Thank you all for being here today. But there is a deeper reality of oneness. And when we can convince our mind of this truth, then we are different. Then we have placed ourselves within the stream of conscious creative possibility. And so the first thing we do, which is in perfect alignment with the 5 basic principles of unity, the first principle, God, the good, is the great reality. Ernest Holmes, who I mentioned, created this particular type of prayer. There are other metaphysical traditions that also use this word treatment. In Christian Science, it's also used in divine science, which is Emmett Fox was a divine science minister. Other places, they've used this same term. And don't get hung up on the term. The first time I heard it years ago, I thought it was very weird. We didn't talk about that in the church I grew up in. But what I've come to understand, and the way it's used, is that I have a dis-ease in my thinking. I have a problem somewhere where I have not plugged into the truth of God's good, and so I'm going to apply a treatment to my own thought as I would to a broken arm or a burn or anything wrong physically. I would want to bring treatment to that, would I not? And we can do the same thing wherever we need to fix our thinking and plug it back into God's possibility. We can apply a treatment to that. So the book from Ernest Holmes that I'm recommending, although again, it's not required, is called A New Design for Living. It's the last book that he wrote. It was actually a compilation with Willis Kinnear of a lot of his later teachings. And particularly in chapters 22 and 23, he talks about this particular tool. He uses a different number of steps and different terminology, but it's the same, I promise, it's the same stuff. He says this: the one mind reacting on, in, and through as the body and environment will change a situation because we change our thinking. As we increase our awareness of spirit, its nature is more fully expressed in our lives. As we change our thinking, there will be a change in our body or the body of our affairs. And this corresponds to Einstein's famous formula stating that energy and mass are equal, interchangeable. It does not say that energy energizes mass. It says that it becomes mass. We need to remember, we do not deny our mind or our body, but we do affirm spirit, which encompasses them both. We add, but we do not take from. If we can move beyond our dualistic idea of thinking that somehow physical reality is separate and apart from spirit, if we can move into a more unifying concept and understand that God is being revealed here, then we can actually apply spiritual principle and spiritual creative energy here, because we recognize God's presence is there too. And so the first step to recognize it, to recognize, we're so conditioned in our thinking. Sometimes we gotta question our own assumptions. You know what happens when you assume, right? Okay, I don't need to spell that one out for you. We are taking in information and it's being filtered through our family belief system, which we inherited. It's being filtered through our past experience. It's being filtered through our fears. We're not seeing reality as it is. We're seeing it as we are. So the first thing, if we can lift our eyes higher to God, I love the mountains in this image. Do you know that the human brain is programmed to only see 3 miles? Did you know that? In a completely flat place like Houston, the horizon is 3 miles out. So when we start talking about stuff being big, much less infinite, really, our mind, our brain, let me get that clear again, can only process 3 miles. That's a limit that is placed into us that you weren't even aware of that, were you? See, you came to church and you learned that, if nothing else today. That your brain is only processing distances of 3 miles or less. And stuff like that is happening all the time. As we want to, often I use, when I'm doing this treatment work in my own prayer life, with my prayer partners, with myself, well, I'll say something like this. I know that my mind cannot contain the infinite, but in this moment, I fill my entire mind with God. Get that? I can't fit all of God in me, but I can expand my awareness where there's nothing but my knowing of God's presence. That's what we want to move to, so that all of our conditioned reality has no place. Sometimes there's other stuff occupying the space. Have you noticed? Just me? You guys are just full of God and your thoughts all the time. I see what you're saying on Facebook. Come on now. No scolding, not doing it. There's other stuff in there, right? That before we even can recognize and fully bring in this awareness of good, of possibility, of creativity, we've got resentments, we've got fears, we've got history. The older we get, the more baggage we bring, do we not? So we have to find some way to break apart our own perceptions and assumptions. You know, there's a really great teaching for this. It's called A Course in Miracles. I'm a dabbler. John is a teacher of A Course in Miracles. He teaches our Monday night class here and other ways too. And he has his own other Friday night happy hour. He does A Course in Miracles. But it's a great teaching because it recognizes that we're not seeing it correctly. Particularly in the workbook, those early exercises in the workbook where you take one exercise a day and then it's kind of jarring. I do not see what is really there. And then lesson 24, I do not perceive my own best interest. I was working through those exercises a few years ago, and I was going through a really, really tough time where there was a lot of conflict in a relationship, and I was angry, and I was hurt, and in that day, I'm supposed to just sit, that's the exercise, and just see what I want to have happen around this situation, and notice if there are multiple things I want, if they might be conflicting with one another. As I start sitting, I'm recognizing I wanted so many different things that they were absolutely in conflict. I didn't even know what I wanted if I got really quiet and listened to what my brain was telling me. And what it did for me was, instead of made me feel like, it didn't make me more confused, it actually focused me. Because I recognized that in my human awareness and perception, I don't rarely perceive my own best interests. So I need to move higher. I need to look to the mountains. Where does my help come from? Expand my horizon. Look up to the spiritual reality that there is a wisdom and intelligence already within me that knows exactly the right path forward. So I do believe that you can, Byron Katie's work is also great for this, where you do the work, as she describes it, you question your assumptions. Do you know that? How do you know that? These are great questions because most of us we don't question our assumptions. We think that we're looking at it the gospel truth. This is the way it is. So I believe that some of these techniques and tools are really good to break apart those perceptions. And I also believe that just by simply opening to good, it's kind of like if you have a bowl of muddy water and you begin to pour clear, fresh water in there, what happens? It's displaced. That which is not pure will be displaced. It will run over, and you will be left with more clarity. And I think that that's the way it can work with this first step of 5-step treatment, is to just open our mind, fill our minds with an awareness of the good of God. There is nothing else. I'd like to read for you something that Ernest Holmes wrote. I hope I wrote it down here. I may not have, but I know where it is. So this is an example of him writing the first step of treatment, and I think it's so powerful. I know that there is one presence, one power, one life, one intelligence, one substance. It is perfect, whole, complete, and harmonious. It is the source of all things, and it is in and through all things. There is nothing separate from it. There is nothing that can limit its action. There is nothing that can separate from its action. It always knows what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. It is the limitless source of every good thing. It is all joy, all happiness, love, harmony, and perfection in all that it is and does. And that's just the first step of prayer. Can you feel the energy that his consciousness of oneness that comes through those words is not the words themselves, but it's tapping into an energy, a consciousness of connection, of oneness. And when we begin to fill our being with those thoughts, when we release the thought, our need to cling, our need to control. Here's the thing. I first heard this in a 12-step meeting, that running the universe is a hard job. And it will wear you out. Which brings us to an interesting dilemma in this path of conscious creation. When we say we're here to create, does that mean we're here to control everything in the world? In the first century, soon after the death of Jesus of Nazareth, there was a man, a member of the religious order. I think it was the Sanhedrin. I'm not exactly sure about that. I think he was a Pharisee. His name was Saul of Tarsus, and he was charged with stamping out this new upstart heresy of people following Jesus. They sometimes called it the way. And so his charge was to find communities where people were practicing following Jesus' teachings and not the traditional Jewish teachings, and he would bind them up and take them back to Jerusalem for trial. And he was called a persecutor of Christians. And he was doing this work, and if you could imagine that he's trying to be a good person, trying to uphold that which is good and that which is, his wholesome communities, the teachings, the way we do purity. He's trying to be a good Jew. And by the way, I want to say today is Yom Kippur. It is the holiest day in Judaism. To all of our brothers and sisters in Judaism, we wish you the happiest of New Years and a day of great peace for you today. And so truly, that was the tradition that Saul was trying to uphold, trying to be good, and was convinced beyond anything that this thing that was happening over here, these people were following this rebel rabbi, Jesus, that was wrong and it needed to be shut down. And then he's going to Damascus in Syria, which was a great city in the ancient world, because he had heard that they had people practicing. They were in the synagogues teaching about Jesus. And while he was on his way there, something happened. Chapter 9 of the book of Acts. That a great light shone around him. And in that light he could not see, but a voice said, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" And he said, "Lord, who is this?" He said, "I am Jesus, whom you persecute." And he was instructed in this experience to go on into Damascus and find the house of Ananias. And he stayed there, and then another man came and he prayed for him. And they said something like scales dropped away from his eyes, very symbolic. He dropped the false seeing and saw a higher truth. And truly, if it weren't for the work of that man, there would probably be no church. There would be no Bible. There would be those teachings of Jesus most likely would have been lost to time. But because of Paul, is his new name, because he had we sometimes call it a Damascus Road experience, where we were doing one way, we thought one thing, and then we do a 180. That we realize how we were doing it so in opposition to this flow of God's good. That is a possibility for all of us. It's not always pleasant when we recognize that we have been seeing it incorrectly. When we have been letting our human judgment and fear get in the way of our experience of life and connection. But I believe that if we will humbly open to a recognition of one loving power and presence, we will be moved into a way of being that is in alignment with that. This is a time of great division in the world of condition. We're seeing it. This is a time of great uncertainty of what's going to happen in the world. Who's going to get the virus? Who's going to win the election? And we sometimes have very strong feelings that it has to go a certain way or else it's all off. I want you to work for the change that you want to see in the world when it comes to voting and supporting candidates, absolutely. But I want you to know there is a higher power. That no matter what happens in the world of condition, God's good is no less present and available to you. And that sometimes things have to have breakdown before breakthrough. And if you're willing to open to this greater reality, you see, if we could just make a list of what we wanted, we could just determine exactly right. Make it very comfortable for ourselves, and that would be fine. But that's actually not the way life works. There is a more infinite power and intelligence, and it uses everything, even the chaos that we would see, even the pain and the struggle of our own experience. All of it is used. Barbara Brown Taylor says it this way: the ultimate expression of faith is when I can say, what comes to me is for me. What comes to me is for me. So I don't have to pray anything away. I pray through. I reveal the good of God in whatever is happening in my life. For the next 6 weeks, I would like to, usually when we finish our message on the Sunday morning, I'll say something like, "You're all wonderful, God bless you," and then you applaud and we go on. So I want to do something different. What I'd like to do is demonstrate for you this 5-step prayer method as a way to close our message. And what I would like to have you do is to listen, but not only with your ears and with your mind, but your heart, as we're seeking to build a container of the consciousness of the good of God. So right now, wherever you are, I just invite you to close your eyes. And in this moment, I recognize one power, one presence, one infinite life of good. There is nothing but God. No matter what name I give it, it is all that is. Power beyond comprehension. Love beyond our ability to even conceive. Good. And no matter what I see in the world of form, I see a deeper truth. That the power, the good, the life of God is present at the subatomic molecular level to the greatest distances we can see. All is contained within the mind, the heart, the life of God. Intelligent, creative, powerful. There is nothing but this power and this presence. Knowing this truth, there's nothing else for me to be. There's nothing else for you to be. There is only one power and one presence. Each of us is an expression, necessary, irreplaceable, unrepeatable expression of God's own good, God's own love. And so right now in this moment, I unify my consciousness with the one life, the life of God. Whole, perfect, and complete at every level. Whole, perfect, and complete in body, mind, and spirit for each individual. Whole, perfect, and complete in the whole and the system, the way it moves together and reveals through time more of God's good and more of God's power. Knowing this truth, it becomes effortless then for me to speak my word, to proclaim the truth that today is a day of opening and healing and possibility right here, right now. I am a portal for God's good. I experience it, I express it right here and right now. This community, Unity of Houston, is a portal of God's good, of healing, of transformative energy. Right now we are becoming alive. We're quickened to this power, that each of us intuitively stepping into a greater awareness of what is mine to do now, to reveal good, to reveal God's love in humanity. Any fear, any sense of something other than God, I release it. It has no place here. Nothing stands in the way of this flow of divine energy that is seeking to be revealed right here, right now. It is all that is. I see and proclaim that there is a movement of spirit upon the earth, in this nation, at every level. That people all over are being quickened and awakened to this reality that there is no them, there is no other, we are one. We are moving together towards a greater good for all. We care for the earth, we care for each other from this great sense of love and connection. This is a new dawn and a new day. What I feel in this moment is a sense of gratitude, knowing that these words I have spoken are not just an idle wish or something I want. They are the truth. Based upon my knowledge that there is only good, I know that it is good as I have said it, and I am grateful. I am filled with a sense of thanksgiving. I let it be. Release this word now, knowing that the law responds to it perfectly. It is created now in mind. We await the perfect demonstration in form. It is done. We let it be. And so it is. Amen.
How many of you know that a move of God is on the way? You believe that? And if you believe that, let me see you wave your hand. Yeah. I feel a breakthrough coming your way. It's a mighty move of God. It's gonna change your day. Signs and wonders, miracles to perform. God is gonna bless you, but just holding on. I feel a breakthrough coming your way. It's a mighty move of God. It's a mighty move of God. Gonna change your day. With signs and wonders, miracles to perform. God's gonna bless you. God's gonna bless you. Just holding on. Just holding on. Whoa, just hold on. A change is coming. I can feel it in the air. It's in the atmosphere. Just hold on. Change is coming. A move of God. A move of God is on the way. Let's say it one more time. Oh, I feel a breakthrough coming your way. It's a mighty move of God. It's gonna change your day. With signs and wonders, miracles to perform. God's gonna bless you, but just hold it on. Just hold on. Change is coming. I can feel it in the air, in the atmosphere. It's in the atmosphere. Oh, just hold on. Hold on. Change is coming. I know a move of God. A move of God is on the way. You've been expecting a change in your life, yeah. Looking for your midnight to turn to sunshine. Now it's gonna happen. You wait and see. All things are possible to them that believe. Come on, you say you've been expecting, yeah, a change in your life. Looking for your midnight, for your midnight, turn to sunshine. Turn to sunshine. Now it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You wait and see. Wait and see. Oh, man. All things are possible to them that believe. Lord, just hold on. A change is coming. I can feel it in the air, in the atmosphere. In the atmosphere. Oh, just hold on. Hold on. Change is coming. I know a move of God. A move of God is on the way. Lord, just hold on. Don't throw in the towel. Change is coming. Hang on, my friend. Feel it in the air, in the atmosphere. In the atmosphere. Oh, just hold on. Change is coming. I know a move of God. A move of God is on the way. I know that a move of God. A move of God is on the way. I know that a move of God. A move of God is on the way. Hold on, my brother. A move of God. A move of God is on the way. Don't give up, my sister. A move of God. A move of God is on the way. I know a move of God. A move of God is on the way. Oh, a move of God, yeah. A move of God is on the way. I know that a move of God. A move of God is on the way.
Wow, thank you, Tony. So in honoring our safety agreements in congregating today, we just ask that as you exit the service, please keep your masks on and remain socially distant. We're so happy to have you here in our sanctuary. We wish we could give you hugs. We really do. There will be a day where they'll be safe to do that. So we want to let you know that there is an Anna Meals pet food drive today. And if you brought any pet food with you today, you can take it to the Sanctuary Courtyard drive-through after the service. Those of you who are watching online, we will be here to receive the pet food donations until 4 p.m. today. And so if you'd like to meet and greet with each other, we're having a virtual lobby for you. It's on Zoom. So go home and get on Zoom, and then you can talk to each other. Unfortunately, we can't gather in the physical lobby just yet. So we just want to ask you to please clear the sanctuary building quickly. And thank you again for being here today.
I just want to thank everyone for being a part of this community of faith, this community of creativity. We are changing the world, and you're a part of it. I invite you now to stand as you're able, those of us who are here, as we sing our peace song. We're not going to hold hands. We'll place our hands over our heart.
That was meant to be with God.
Together, let's speak the words of our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And today we proclaim that God is good all the time.
It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day.